Section 23 of the Interpretation of Dreams.
This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Recording by the Bobby Lee. The Interpretation of Dreams by Sigmund Freud. Translated by A. Brill. Section 22. Typical Dreams. Other types. Of other typical dreams in which one flies with a feeling of ease or falls in terror, I know nothing from my own experience, and whatever I have to say about them I owe to my psychoanalysis. From the information thus obtained, one must conclude that these dreams also reproduce impressions made in childhood. That is, that they refer to the games involving rapid motion, which have such an extraordinary attraction for children. Whereas the uncle who has never made a child fly by running with it across the room with outstretched arms, or has never played at falling with it by rocking it on his knee and then suddenly straightening his leg, or by lifting it above his head and suddenly pretending to withdraw his supporting hand. At such moments, children shout with joy and insatiably demand a repetition of the performance, especially if a little fright and dizziness are involved in the game. In after years, they repeat their sensations in dreams, but in dreams they omit the hand that held them, so that now they are free to float or fall. We know that all the small children have a fondness for such games as rocking and seesawing, and if they see gymnastic performances at the circus, the recollection of such games is refreshed. In some boys, a hysterical attack will consist simply in the reproduction of such performances, which they accomplish with great dexterity. Not infrequently, sexual sensations are excited by these games of movement, which are quite neutral in themselves. To express the matter in a few words, the exciting games of childhood are repeated in dreams of flying, falling, reeling, and the like, but the voluptuous feelings are not transformed into anxiety. But as every mother knows, the excited play of children often enough culminates in quarreling and tears. Psychoanalytic investigation has enabled us to conclude that in the predilection shown by children for gymnastic performances and in the repetition of these in hysterical attacks, there is besides the pleasure felt in the organ, yet another factor at work, often unconscious, namely a memory picture of sexual intercourse observed in human beings or animals. A young colleague who is entirely free from nervousness tells me in this connection, I know from my own experience that while swinging and at the moment at which the downward movement was at its maximum, I used to have a curious feeling in my genitals, which although it was not really pleasing to me, I must describe as a voluptuous feeling. I have often heard from patients that the first erections with voluptuous sensations which they can remember to have had in boyhood occurred while they were climbing. It is established with complete certainty by psychoanalysis that the first sexual sensations often have their origin in the scufflings and wrestlings of childhood. I have therefore good reason for rejecting the explanation that it is the state of our dermal sensations during sleep, the sensation of the movements of the limbs, etc., that evokes dreams of flying and falling. I see that these very sensations have been reproduced from the memory to which the dream refers, and that they are therefore dream content and not dream sources. I do not for a moment deny, however, that I am unable to furnish a full explanation of this series of typical dreams. Precisely, here my material leaves me in the lurch. I must adhere to the general opinion that all the dermal and kinetic sensations of these typical dreams are awakened as soon as any psychic motive of whatever kind has need of them, and that they are neglected when there is no such need of them. The relation to infantile experiences seems to be confirmed by the indications which I have obtained from the analysis of psychoneurotics. But I am unable to say what other meanings might, in the course of the dreamer's life, have become attached to the memory of these sensations, different perhaps in each individual, despite the typical appearance of these dreams, and I should very much like to be in a position to fill this gap with careful analysis of good examples. To those who wonder why I complain of lack of material despite the frequency of these dreams of flying, falling, tooth drawing, etc., I must explain that I myself have never experienced any such dreams since I have turned my attention to the subject of dream interpretation. The dreams of neurotics, which are at my disposal, however, are not all capable of interpretation, and very often it is impossible to penetrate to the farthest point of their hidden intention. A certain psychic force which participated in the building up of these neuroses, and which again becomes active during its dissolution, opposes interpretation of the final problem.
End of section 23.
Recording by the Bobby Lee.